Hi, my name's Robert Plant. By profession, I am an aircraft maintenance engineer, and my job today is to walk you around an aircraft to show you some of the checks and tests that we have to perform before we allow the aircraft to fly. It is an interesting job. Sometimes it can be a bit repetitive, but we're going to walk around and have a look and see what we have to do pretty much on every single day of our working life. Normally, when we inspect an aircraft, we would start at a point of reference. Today, I'm going to start at the nose. Underneath here is a radar system, a weather radar. So the first check we would do is to make sure that the covering is intact, there's no cracks or damage on it, and the surface finish is good. That checks out fine. Walking down the nose of the aircraft, we will check all the areas to make sure there are no dents, no holes, no scratches, and generally have a feel around to make sure that all the panels that can be removed are in fact secure. No problem there. Going under the nose of the aircraft, we have an air vent for ram air. Make sure there's no obstruction or blockages. These are covers for the air system, dynamic air system. We will leave them on for the time being, but normally they would be removed prior to flight. Going down to the front of the aircraft for the nose wheel, check for its security, nothing is loose, and that the silver part here is clean. There's a little bit of seepage of oil, but nothing to concern ourselves about. That's okay. Looking then at the tyre itself, you check both the wall of the tyre and the tread of the tyre. We're looking for no signs of damage or anything stuck in the actual tyre itself. This one looks pretty good. That's not a problem. Antenna, a radio antenna. Make sure that it's still screwed on nice and tight. That's no problem. Going back down the aircraft now, we would check all the canopies and all the other transparencies. They must be clean, very clean. Make sure there's no cracks, no glazing, and that the seal around it is intact. That looks pretty good. We then start on the inner part of the wing. All the fairings are secure and no obvious signs of damage. Again, checking that all covers and access panels are secure. No problem there. Turning to the right-hand engine, cowling secure, all panels down. Not a problem, everything looks good on there. One of the most important parts of an aircraft of this configuration is obviously the propeller. We must pay special attention to the propeller. It is not fragile, but it does not like being damaged at all. So gently we feel around the propeller for dents, for abrasion, for cracks. This part here, the black part, forms part of its anti-icing system. This can be electrically heated, so should ice begin to form on the propeller, this will melt it off. I'm going to put the cover back on, but we would check inside. Make sure we can see no loose parts. Nothing's going to fall off on there. This aircraft is air-cooled. It doesn't have a radiator like you would find in a normal car. air is forced across each cylinder to cool it down. But we will put the blanket back in, but we would remove it before flight. The cover of the propeller, make sure that all the screws are present and tight. Again, the second blade, no signs of damage at all. Finally, the last blade, that would be checked out. No problem. Screws okay. Again, removing the blank, just check the other cylinders. Everything's good there. And as far as you can see, nothing appears to be falling off. Everything's okay. Alternator for the electrics, that's good. Cover back in. Again, going back down this side of the engine cowling, have a quick look inside the exhaust here. Make sure that it's secure and there is no signs of overheating. Closing the panel. Looking underneath, make sure there are no leaks, no drips of lubricating oil or fuel. And looking back up, final part of the exhaust, and everything is as it should be. That appears to be okay. Next, we'll look at one of the wings. This black strip down the leading edge serves two purposes. It does prevent erosion, and it also forms part of the anti-icing system. Again, panels, that they're all present and secure, and that these two refuel points are down and locked, which they are. We would have checked the fuel earlier and made a note of the quantity. On the forward part of the wing, there are these little tabs sticking up, and they are what are known as vortex generators, and they help the airflow over the wing to make it smooth. They should all be present, which they are. There are none missing. Going towards the tip of the wing, on each wing tip we have a navigation light and an anti-collision light. Make sure that the covering, the lens, is secure and intact. Going down the trailing edge of the wing, check all the flying controls, that they have a degree of movement and that the little discharge probes are present. These, as an aircraft flies through the air, it builds up a static charge, and these devices help to dissipate that charge into the airflow. They have got to be there. Again, checking the flaps and flying control surfaces. Seems pretty good. There is a stowage compartment here for passenger bags. It should be down and locked in place, which it is. And again, the final part of the wing, make sure there are no obvious signs of damage. Whilst we're walking down the fuselage of the aircraft, we would, of course, check all the windows to make sure there's no cracks and they're not going to fall out. Again, another access panel, that it's locked, secure, in place, and none of the fasteners are loose. This little silver piece here, a static vent. This measures the static air pressure, the air pressure that surrounds the aircraft. As an aircraft gets higher and higher, the air pressure reduces. And we use this pressure to give the pilot an indication of his altitude, how high he is. Again, moving towards the rear of the aircraft, more access panels, they're secure. On the horizontal stabilizer, again at the leading edge, we do have an anti-erosion strip, an anti-icing. Make sure that it is intact. Move looking underneath. Quick look, access panel, okay. Seems to be no problems there. Again, quick check, freedom of movement. Yeah, they're moving. And the trim tabs themselves. That's pretty much this side of the aircraft done. Finally, at the tail and the vertical stabilizer, make sure there's a bit of movement there. Again, static discharge are fitted and in a good condition. Right at the tail of an aircraft, there is a navigation light, and this is a light that gives a visual reference to other aircraft. You'll see this particularly at night. Make sure that the lens is intact and it's secure. This side of the aircraft is pretty much a repeat of the other. It's a bit more involved than looking at your car each day, but I can assure you it is necessary. Every time before it flies, it will be inspected in a similar manner to what I've just demonstrated. We would then go inside the aircraft. We would check the instruments to make sure that they're all secure. There's no glass that's broken. We'd check the seats to make sure the safety harnesses operate correctly and that everything is intact and in place. Okay, well, welcome to the cockpit. I'm sat on the left-hand side, the seat that would normally be occupied by the pilot, with his co-pilot or navigator to his right. Some of the things we'd check for, the most obvious thing we would check for is that all his instrument glasses, no cracks, and that they're all secure in there. Just going across the aircraft, we have his airspeed, attitude, altitude, his navigation, what we call a horizontal situation indicator. This is a combined compass and navigation aids that give him directions in which to fly. We also have what is called a vertical speed indicator or rate of climb, how many feet per minute he's climbing or descending. Going down, we have another navigation device indicator, and yeah, all the instruments look pretty much okay. We got control left and right, there's no problem there, fore and aft. Nice, smooth, gentle movements. But that's pretty much the insides done.